0, 1, 2, 3. Let's get started.
Oh, that's real good.
Why they stopping me?
Hey everybody, welcome to the Westbrook Christian Football Show with Coach Steve Smith. I'm Jeff Underwood. That guy right there, this guy, this Don Mattingly loving, Jose Canseco hating punk is Jared White. What's up, man?
You know, all I'm saying is Canseco he may not have won a gold glove, but what a great defensive effort to knock the ball over with your head for a home run.
Yeah.
Not everybody can do that, Coach.
No.
You've been around the game a long time. Have you ever saw it in your
I've seen it one other time. I can't remember who it was that did it, but it seemed like it was in a Little League game.
That's so good.
That's pretty impressive.
That's good.
Welcome, victorious Coach, 52-21 over Montford.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Always good to get a win.
No matter who
They're
we're
hard to
there.
come by. I tell the kids all the time, we get a win, celebrate the win.
Sure.
Let's talk philosophy just a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
What is your thoughts on momentum and building confidence through wins and those kind of things as far as just playing ball?
Well, I mean, it's key. It's key in all sports, but you know, in football, especially when you're trying to get your program to a level where you can compete, you know, outside of just the 10-game regular season, momentum's critical. In our situation this year with the region being a 9-team region, you know, you can't wait too long to catch some momentum. You need to do it and do it in a hurry. Every week is pretty much a counting game as far as region standings. Every week's a counting game to me either way, because region, non-region, they keep a score. But you know, as far as getting that momentum to make a push to get a playoff spot, it's vital. You know, if you look at our season this year, it's kind of like we've talked about with the kids all week. Played pretty well week 1. Week 2 had a little bit of a letdown. We still able to win the game, but we didn't play very well. Had 4 turnovers in the first half. Week 3, we played pretty well. Came out on the short end of a high-scoring affair. Week 4, we didn't play well at all. Got blown out. Week 5, we played good. So, you know, it's one of those situations. We've been on that roller coaster of playing well one week and then not playing very well the next week. And, you know, just trying to, as the coach, you know, that falls back on me as far as getting everybody on the same page, getting everybody prepared, and doing a good job of not only showing them a game plan, implementing game plan, but just keeping everybody, you know, healthy, the treatment plans and things that we try to have with our kids. Just I need to do a better job, and then hopefully if I do a better job with keeping everybody on track the way it needs to be, that we can develop some consistency. And that's just, you know, that's my favorite word with coaching is consistency, doing the same things over and over and getting right, doing it the right way, and you know, no matter who you're playing, not really. We're going to break down our opponent each and every week like every high school team in the state of Alabama does. But a lot of times the issues is not so much about trying to figure out what Ohatchee's doing this week, is trying to fix what we need to do to be more consistent in our performance.
You talked about adjustments, game plan adjustments. How important is it to be able as a coach to make those adjustments based on the opponents that you're facing?
Yeah, you know, I think a lot of times, obviously that's what your job is to prepare your team and to be able to have a plan A and a plan B and stuff. But I think sometimes it's way overblown on the knowledge that the coaches have and the things that you do it for a long time. You're going to gain some knowledge just through experience. But you know, it goes back to that old saying: it doesn't really matter how much I know, or in this case, Coach Finley knows at Ohatchee, or it doesn't. He and I are not going to play a single snap. The biggest thing is being able to find what your kids can do well and then trying to build off of that and trying to see, coaches will tell you, we all got a philosophy on how we would like to do things and the type offense we'd like to be and type defense we'd like to be. But in the high school level, you can't always be so stubborn and stuck in your ways that it has to be able to, put a square peg in a round hole type deal. It don't always work that way. And then on our level, you get a couple of guys injured, you have to start moving some people around, and the guy that comes in and plays next may have a little bit different skill set than the guy that was the starter originally, and you have to kind of modify. So I think the adjustments is more adjusting to what you have within your team than it is necessarily adjusting to what the other teams do, and if that makes sense. You still obviously have to game plan for your opponents and stuff, and you still have to prepare and still have to have your practice plans and stuff together. But, we found out last year that we had a kid get sick on a Friday afternoon, the day of the game. I'm talking about like emergency room sick. And when that happens, a lot of things get thrown out of whack, especially if you had things in the game plan that was designed, for that particular player. We're not 85 scholarships Division I, and so it's not like you just plug the next guy in and the game plan remains the same. But even on the college level, if you take Alabama, and if Ryan Williams is not able to go, there's a part of the playbook that's out the window. I don't care who the replacement is. There's a part of the playbook that you just have to discard because they don't have two Ryan Williams. They don't have another one that can just come right in and do what number two's been doing.
And no one else in the country does either, Coach.
Man, he's special for sure.
At what point do you get tired of hearing, he's 17?
Yeah.
That was a little much, right? I guess he's 17, but
Regardless
regardless of his age, heck of a football player.
I think the 17 part of it speaks more to me that he should be playing high school football right now, and
Sarah would love to have him.
To watch him, well, who wouldn't, right? Anybody would, but for him to be able to go out at 17 years old, he's not old enough to buy Skull. He
I know where he can get it.
We don't need to know all your childhood secrets, but the point I'm making is he's not old enough to buy certain things in the convenience store, and yet he's out dominating against 22-year-old NFL prospects. I think the thing that makes it more impressive to me and why 17 is so important is, he should be getting ready for homecoming this week like a lot of high school kids, and instead he's out going up against the best players. Georgia arguably has some of the best defensive backs in college football, and to go out there and at that age and be able to produce against people of that magnitude he's a unique talent for sure.
And we'll close the show talking a little college ball because we just love talking ball with you. So let's look at, there are some other 9-team regions in the state.
Right.
But this is a 9-team region.
Right.
There's a difference.
Yeah, we talk about it, and people that listen to the show probably get tired of hearing us, talk about that each and every week. But, you got the two people at the top of the region on paper. I think there's still 3 undefeated teams in the region in Piedmont, Locust Fork, and Welborn. I think that's right. But Piedmont, Locust Fork play this week, so somebody's going to have a little bit of a leg up on the number 1 spot. But everything 2 through 9 is still on the table for everybody, and we say that each and every week. But we got Ohatchee coming in our place, and they've already played Locust Fork. They've already played Piedmont. J.B. Pennington's another team that has been really impressive. They've already played them, I believe. So they've already played some of the teams that are at the top, and so I think people look at their record and say, well, they're just 1-3 in the region. Well, the people they've lost to in the region are teams that are serious playoff contenders as well. So. Each and every week for us is, you hate to say must win because you don't want to go out there with that kind of pressure on you, but it's pretty close to a must win if you want to stay in the hunt for one of those 4 spots.
Yeah, very hard to come by for sure, those 4 spots. And for ones who are just looking at the record for Ohatchee, the record may not be that impressive. I mean, 3-3 and with the teams they played. They started up with New Hope, talking about a high-powered offense. Right. Ohatchee's the highest-scoring team in the region. Actually, I mean, they can put some points on the board in a hurry.
Well, if they're the highest scoring team in our region, they may be the highest scoring team in the state in 3A. I'm not sure about those numbers across the board, but Locust Fork puts up a lot of points.
They do.
So if Ohatchee's the top team in the region as far as points scored, then they may be the top team in all of 3A. I'm not sure.
Yeah, they scored 283 so far this year. Locust Fork 239 and J.B. Pennington 226.
Yeah.
Not to be, Piedmont still in there with 210. So many points. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Who's your defense coordinator? Let's
Brad-
pray.
Yeah, Bradlow, he was up there late last night again. When
bet.
I was getting ready to go home, he was still up there, working on things.
Yeah.
I appreciate Coach Slow tremendously, for his dedication, his hard work, and he's a great defensive mind. He always comes up with a really, really good plan for us, and it's like I tell him, he gets frustrated sometimes, when we don't go out necessarily and execute to a T. But that's every coach's, that's
Sure.
every coach's fear, that you have the greatest plan in the world, but you still have to go out there and execute it. And you got to understand the other team, they prepare too. And so sometimes, your guys are giving everything they got, and the other guy just makes a play, and that just happens sometimes.
Let's go back a little bit before we really dive in this game and the coming season. Let's talk JV a little bit. I was talking. I know you're very involved with the youth programs and JV programs.
Right.
Thankfully, I was talking to a coach this week who's a head JV coach at a program, and he was so down on himself about wins and losses. It's way more. Yeah, if you keep scoring, you want to win, right? He has that too, but I don't think that's what defines a successful JV program.
Well,
As much as building talent and
Right.
progressing players.
Well, I can see it both sides. I can definitely see his point, because I've coached junior high baseball before in middle school, and
That's tough.
and currently coaching Pee Wee football, 5th and 6th grade football.
It's a well-coached team.
Well, I don't know about all that, but the fact is you, as a competitor, you're always wanting to play to win. And so I can, from that standpoint, I can certainly understand the coach that you're talking about, the frustration with maybe not getting the results on the board. The thing that you have to understand, whether you're youth league, middle school, JV, I always tell our coaches at those levels, number one, because they don't get the thanks that they deserve, because very few of those play for championships. I guess they may give a Pee Wee championship if you're in the league, but from a middle school JV standpoint, they don't have a middle school JV state playoffs or anything like that. So a lot of times I tell them that their value to the program is measured much more in my eyes by the development that those kids get. Now, at our place, we coach our own JV, so our varsity coaches, our JV practices with us each and every day, so we coach them on Monday nights. So I tell people we play a JV schedule, but I don't have a JV team, if that makes sense. Every one of our players are varsity players. We just happen to have some that play on Monday nights and get a JV game in.
Yeah.
But, so we still coach them the same way we do the varsity players. And then the middle school coaches, those are the guys a lot of times that are most overlooked, because, their value to me is measured on whether or not those kids that come out of the middle school program continue to play. And I tell them all the time, your job is not to run them off. Obviously, I want you to coach them hard, coach them right, and hold them accountable. But, at 12, 13 years old, a lot of times you can't tell what a kid's going to be at 17 or 18. I said, so we're not trying to cull kids at the middle school level. We're trying to get kids involved and developing them. And then we've all seen kids that hit growth spurts in 10th grade, 11th grade. That 5'5" kid that weighed 120 pounds in 9th grade, he may be 6'1", 180 pounds by the time he graduates. So just so much that goes into it at that age level, and those people, being oftentimes overlooked, but doing such a wonderful job behind the scenes of helping develop the talent that's just going to come through your high school program over the next 3, 4, 5 years.
How important also is it to get those games to help develop your young coaches?
I think it's important for that. And I'm going to tell you something. I'll go on a little bit of a soapbox here. Every week it seems like I rant about something. But, I played in a time back in the late 80s where JV wasn't very popular at the 3A, 4A level. You pretty much played middle school or junior high was what we called it, and it was 7th, 8th, and 9th grade playing together. And then 10th, 11th, and 12th made up the varsity. And I can remember when I was in school at Center, our middle school team junior high was 7, 8, and 9. Well, it was 2 separate campuses. The 7th and 8th graders were at Center Middle School, and the 9th graders were at the high school. So you had to make an effort to get those guys together to practice. They weren't together during the school day. And, when I first went to Piedmont, a lot of people in Calhoun County were playing 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. No JV team, no B team is what we used to call it, and then varsity. And so the first year I was there, we made a switch to playing a 7th and 8th grade schedule. And then we played a B team, and then we played a varsity. And like I said, the B team and varsity, we practiced together. Just some of the guys that wasn't playing on Friday nights turned around and got to play on Monday nights in the JV games. And, you know, I think that is the number one most essential part of building a program, because football is one of those sports nobody wants to go out and practice all the time and never get to play.
Yeah.
You know, football is one of those sports that a bad experience a lot of times is worse than no experience. And so, you know, I think if you got 7th, 8th, and 9th together, a lot of times you beat up on your 7th graders. They don't get to play a lot, and you miss out on some kids that develop into really, really good athletes. But 7th and 8th, they can hold their own. The 9th graders say, well, if you do that and you make your 9th graders come up to high school, you're going to run your 9th graders off. Well, no, I don't run them off because I control it. They're with me every day at practice.
That's fair.
So, you know, I can control. You know, it's not like the 9th graders just become scout team and everybody just go kill the 9th graders. So
That's not the way. Shirt.
You know, that's not the way we do it.
Yeah.
You know, and so those B team games on Monday night are essential. And so a lot of times I'll make a schedule, and there'll be some people that want to play, but they can't promise me that they'll play the B team game. And so I just tell them, you know, no offense, but I'm not going to play junior high game 7th and 8th if you're not going to play the B team game, because I want to get 8 7th and 8th grade games on Monday night, and I want to get 8 B team games after it on Monday night. Now, we've already had a couple times this year that people call and say, well, we're going to have to play 7th, 8th, and 9th. Well, that don't fit very well for our program, because my 9th graders don't practice with my 7th and 8th graders.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm competitive enough. I'm not going to play your 7th, 8th, and 9th with my 7th and 8th. We're not going to play handicap for sure.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's a situation to where I found there are some coaches, not all, and sometimes you just don't have the numbers. Sometimes I get it at the 3A, 1A through 4A level. Sometimes you just don't have the numbers to have a 7th and 8th grade only and a B team only. I get that, but there's a lot of coaches out there that just too lazy and don't want to play a B team schedule.
Now you're preaching.
And you know, they don't want to do it, and then they wonder why their program has ups and downs to it. I'm not saying that because you play a B team schedule you won't have some time that your program's down a little bit, but you know, if you're not willing to put the time and effort into having the B team, then you can't complain and get too much sympathy from me if you have those lulls where you don't have kids coming through the program. A lot of times they're not coming through the program, and you wonder where they went. Well, they were in the program at one time, but you wanted to be hard enough that you could call out the ones that don't really love the game of football, and you lose them somewhere between 7th and 10th. And then you wonder why you got 6 in the senior class and 5 in the class right behind them. Well, sometimes it's the fact that you didn't do anything to develop them.
Whew.
So that's a Steve opinion. That's the way I view it.
I think it's a strong opinion.
Well,
It's a good opinion.
Not meant to be inflammatory to anybody else. Way everybody has a choice of how they want to run their program,
Sure.
and I respect that. I got no problem with how you want to do yours. That's fine. But you don't get a lot of sympathy from me when you talk about I only got 5 in this class and 4 in this class. And well, have you got out there and you tried to? Have you been that guy that wanted to accommodate the 5th and 6th grade Pee Wee team, or were you that guy that wanted to? You don't get on our field. You know, I've got some great friends that they don't support the youth league program. They don't want them on their field. They don't go to the middle school games. And I'm sitting there thinking, man, how can you say you're trying to build a program? You don't even go to their games. You don't want them on your field.
I remember as being in elementary school, 4th and 5th grade, going to the middle school to watch games on Monday or Tuesday nights and watching the JV games play. And at that point in Atala, at the end of practice, they cut it short, and the coaches would let the varsity players come sit in the stands. So as little kids, you're getting to hang out in the stands, you know, with the varsity football players, and the atmosphere is just incredible.
I agree 100%. There's some things obviously that change about the game, but the essential steps into building a program and trying to make it one that's sustainable for the long haul requires some extra work and investment from the high school head coach to be willing to put that time and effort into their elementary school and their middle school. And you know, I always tell people, if you don't see the high school coach putting a lot of time and effort into the middle school and elementary school, you may want to check to whether or not his intent's to be there for the long haul.
Woo. Just saying. You speaking truth.
Yeah, that's an opinion.
Well, I put your opinion above most. Let's get back to this. Let's get back to how's your week of practice been so far? What's the attitude going into? Like I said, every game's a big game. This happens to be the next one. So Hatchie coming to town. You know the crowd is going to be incredible. I hope the rain's going to hold off. I think we may get knock on wood. I think we may get a good night of be able to play some football. So what's the mentality of the team going into this Ohatchee game?
Great week of practice to this point. That doesn't mean we had great execution, but the effort's been great. The attitude's been great. Obviously got some things that we need to tweak. Ohatchee brings some different challenges to the table than what teams of Ohatchee that you might remember from the past. In the past they've been predominantly grinded out, hard-nosed, just run the football, and throw it just 3 or 4 times a game. But they've got a really good quarterback. That's a big arm guy that can throw the football really well. He's got a great stable of receivers. Overlooked, they got a really, really good running back, number 2, that I think was one of the better running backs that we saw last year. And then they've got a guy out wide that had almost 2,000 yards combined last year, rushing, receiving, and kick returns. Got a couple guys that have come into their school that have given them some receiver threats on the outside and another running threat out in the backfield. Just a really good collection of talent that they have accumulated there that is able to put points on the board and score from anywhere on the field. I think the world of Coach Finley. I think he's a great guy. I think he's a great young head football coach. I think he's going to be a great head football coach for a long, long time in this state. They still got the guys up front that's got the Ohatchee pedigree of being just tough, hard-nosed. He's a throwback guy. They still play a lot of guys both sides of the ball, and just a team I see that gets after it. And last 2 weeks they've responded really well. I think they come out the gate 1-3 after that big New Hope score there. That first week they lost 3 in a row, but then they've kind of righted the ship the last 2 weeks, and they're continuing to put a lot of points on the board. But the thing I noticed more than anything was the improvement they've made on the defensive side of the ball over the last couple of weeks. So it should be a huge, huge challenge for us. We've got to play our best, obviously. Our margin for error is very small. We can't go in and get in a situation where we're trying to play catch up with this bunch. We don't want to be in a track meet with them. We don't want to be in a 76-71 game. That's for sure. They've got skilled players all over the field that can make it miserable for you. So we're gonna have to play our style of ball and be able to at least slow them down some.
Well, your style of ball from in the community where I'm hearing, and I haven't seen a game live yet, but I will before the end of the season. Really physical. Really, really physical. I think that's kind of been a mantra. That's a Steve Smith brand of ball, right?
Yeah, I just thought it was football. That's really all I've ever known. But
that's fair.
I do take pride that our teams, try to be physical and try to, play hard and do things the right way and try to establish that kind of identity, amongst our players, because we're not the most athletically gifted group. We're not going to win very many track meets, so just we don't have a lot of guys out there that's going to light up the stopwatch in a 40-yard dash. Yeah. And so, and that's okay. You can, it's like I've told the boys, I've watched many of teams win championships in any classification, 1A through 7A, that might not have always had the best track athletes on the team, but they had 11 guys at a time doing their job. They were in position. If you're not as fast as the other team, then you need to rally all the troops to the ball when you're on defense, and everybody's got to stay in their cutback lanes and be able. If you go watch our Munford game last week, I thought we played really, really well. Running back from Munford is an all-state running back. He had 2 long touchdown runs, and both of them were not where the run was called. Both of them were where he cut the ball back across the grain, and we kind of compromised our cutback lanes, and we were all just turning and running toward where he was at, and then when he got out in the open field, it was apparent who the fastest guy was, and
sometimes it's not hard to
it was not us.
Yeah.
But again, those are all things that were we could put that on the film and show it to the kids. It's fixable situations. Just here's some illustrations on what happens when you get out of your cutback lanes, when you're not playing 11 guys to the ball, and everybody doing their job. This is what can happen. And like I said, our margin for error is pretty thin when you're looking, against speed. And that's been something that we've been victimized by a lot this year is the big play. And it's hard when you play good defense on first down, second down, or in some cases even third down, and then you give up a big play. And you got to play to get off the field when you're on the defensive side. And offensively, you want to be physical and you want to be able to run the ball and throw it when you want to. You don't want to have to throw the ball because that's all you can do. So it's no secret that most teams want to be able to go out there and establish some type of running attack, and then when you do that, then you can have some more opportunities to make some plays in the passing game.
Let's talk about your quarterback. You're a proponent of quarterback play. You love quarterback play. You watch it, you study it, you've coached it your whole life. Just tell me about your quarterback a little bit.
Brody Blevins is our starter,
Yeah.
and he's done an outstanding job for us this year. He's a dual threat guy. Probably throws the ball a little bit better than most people want to give him credit for. He had a good stat line the other night from throwing the football, but he carries the ball anywhere from 15 to 25 times a game for us in our offense, and quarterback run game is a big part of what we do. He's a tough kid. He's very, very hard-nosed. The more his body, he's only about 175 pounds, so he's a young guy. He's a 10th grader, but he carries himself on the football field much bigger than 175. He plays much bigger than 175, and he's a tough kid, and he enjoys the contact aspect of the game. So he's done a tremendous job of being able to orchestrate what we want to do on the offensive side. Sam Soley is a 9th grader that we have that has come in and played some in the last 3 or 4 games, and Sam's got a world of upside to him. He's more of a pocket passer type guy, but we're speaking underrated. I've been really impressed with how his running ability has improved from 8th grade to 9th grade. So he's not a liability in the run game by any stretch of imagination. He's developed a lot more toughness, and he's got some more speed to him. So feel really good about our quarterback situation, and both those guys have good leadership qualities, which is what you want in the huddle with the quarterback, and you want them to be able to inspire all the guys around them to play their best. And I think both those guys have the respect of the huddle as far as getting it done, and just fiery, competitive type guys. And when I think of Blevins, I think of back to the guys I've coached over the past. He's right up there with those guys as far as his fieriness and his competitiveness and his drive to win. And as a coach, that's what you love to see out of that position. You want to see somebody there that's got confidence, and at the same time, they're not going to ask anybody on the field to do anything that they wouldn't do first. And he's that guy.
How special is it when your most talented players are also and your leaders are also the hardest working?
It's very special, that's for sure. And one of the things that we've been trying to do over the last year and a half is identify leadership and define leadership, what it is. Because if you ask people, are you a leader? Then most of them won't say yes. They want to affirm that they feel like they're a leader. And I say, everybody, you're all leading somebody.
Sure.
There's somebody looking up to you. Yeah. It might be a little brother. It might be a little sister. It might be a cousin in elementary school. But we're all in a leadership position. The key is, how are you leading? Or if you were a little kid, would you want to follow you? And sometimes when you ask that question, you see some pretty blank stares on their eyes and in their faces, because they may know that now, right now, the way I'm doing things, I don't know that I want to follow me. And so I kind of throw it back on them with that. But, I think our guys have done a tremendous job of buying into what we're trying to sell with the leadership, the hard work, show me, don't tell me, that type attitude, because a lot of times, actions do speak louder than words. People want to follow people that are doing things the right way. And, when you're wanting to lead in that direction, you can inspire them people around you. And I said, the truest aspect of leadership to me is, can you get everybody else to play at their best level? Mm. And that's what the best ones, that's what the greatest ones of all time were able to do. They may not have been the most physically talented. When I look at Brady, Tom Brady wasn't the most physically talented guy, but he had an extreme drive and desire to be successful. And he gave everybody else in that huddle and in that locker room the confidence that if he's on our side, we got a chance. Yeah. And he's probably one of my best examples of being able to inspire others around him. And then there's been other great ones that you could see had the physical talent, but they never could win the big one, so to speak. And a lot of times they might have been a cancer in the locker room, or they might have been somebody that didn't have the respect of their teammates, or they might have been somebody that threw their teammates under the bus, or whatever reason. It's a characteristic that some people can develop and make those around them think that they're better than what they really are. And the greatest ones have that ability.
No question about that. Lastly, but before we let you get out of here, so do you really pay attention to Kevin Moore's show, Kevin's Corner, when he picks for you or against you? Do you work that into your speech pregame?
I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I have no idea who Kevin Moore is.
Stop it, Coach. You do know him.
No.
The saxophone player. He has a great show.
On what channel?
It comes on the day.
Is it on Kapow?
No. He's on Facebook.
I have no idea who Kevin Moore is. I mean, I don't mean that no disrespect to Kevin Moore, but I don't have a clue what you're asking.
we'll get you in the loop. He does a high school pick'em show, and he's pretty doggone good at it. He also goes around playing the saxophone. Incredible. Big saxy.
Okay.
Really good dude.
Was he the guy that played here at the little supper that y'all had?
Yes. Yeah,
Now-
that's Kevin Moore.
Okay, now
Yeah.
I remember the guy playing the saxophone there.
Yeah, he has his own show, Kevin's Corner, that airs on Thursdays, somewhere between 5:30 and 6:30 because he's busy. So it's right in the time.
I know the guy now, but I didn't know he had a show.
Yeah,
I don't get on the internet very much.
I know you should implement it.
If
because
it's on
when
Facebook, I really don't get on it.
When he picks against you, I'm not saying he does,
No, that's fine.
but if he does, I want you to implement that in. Will you show Kevin Moore? I'm sorry.
I need to find out from our kids if they watch Kevin Moore's Pick'ems.
I think they do.
Uh-oh.
Popular show.
Well,
Popular
hey,
show. He's a great pundit.
I don't get on there very often. I don't never get on Facebook, so I don't have Facebook.
I think I saw you had Facebook one time, and
Nope.
the last post he had was 1863. That could have been something different.
If it was somebody else,
It was on MySpace.
It was a fake account. Hey, I did sign up one time for MySpace. I don't think I ever got on it, but
So good.
and how old does that make you?
That's-
I remember somebody was telling me about you need to get a MySpace, and then my kids one time they were going to get me an Instagram account, but they didn't ever follow through with it. But I've got Twitter or X, whatever you call
I'm
it.
a big fan of that.
I've got that.
Yeah, it's quick news.
If you look at my little stuff, I might repost something, but I bet I hadn't made 5 posts in the last 6 months.
I'm with you the same way. I just like to look at the news stuff. It's pretty good. Kevin Moore, reach out to Coach and introduce yourself.
No, I'm pretty sure I know who that is.
I mean, with
Once
this
you
show.
put the saxophone part to it, now I'm putting a face with that.
I'm sorry you
from
put
that
the
little
face to
thing.
it, Coach. I apologize.
That's okay.
We
but,
apologize, Coach.
But I didn't know he had a pick'em show, and I didn't know he picked against us. That's okay though.
Well, he may not have. It's hard to keep up. I watch all this stuff. It's hard to keep up who he picks with, and he does a lot of games across the state. Very good, by the way. I'm just trying to give him some love, Coach.
Okay.
And if you ever need that extra motivation, that extra burn the boat speech, you can implement Kevin Moore in that. It's really
Gotcha.
good. Hey, what can people expect coming out? It's going to be a great night of high school football. It's always loud. Sometimes we hear you from here, right? It's a rowdy bunch, and
I wish they'd get a little bit more rowdy. We've had some rowdiness come out this year. Most of them is my family, but I love them and I appreciate the support. And like I said, it wouldn't hurt my feelings if we got loud at Westbrook and created that home field advantage. It's a football game, you know. Sundays we can be quiet at church, but it just
Pastor said, "Don't I know that?" Yeah.
Hey, but you know, I really appreciate all the support we have with Westbrook.
Yeah.
Westbrook fans, the community, they've been tremendous behind our team, and we certainly appreciate that. We recognize that. We can tell when you got people standing around the fence, and I told the kids, man, we got a great environment. You got a lot of positive things going on. We just got to put a good product on the field, and that's the big thing. You know, you can get all the excitement, enthusiasm behind you that you want, but you got to go out there and put a good product on the field to give people a reason. You don't just go out and beg for people to be loud and proud. You got to go out there and give them something to be loud and proud about, and that's what our goal is each and every week.
Well, it's an exciting brand of football, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys make this run right here. Pretty excited when it's clicking, and a Steve Smith coach football team is a fun football team to watch. I promise you.
Well, I don't know that we're clicking yet, but we're working on trying to get there. That's the key. I'm very thankful for the coaches and the players that we have in our program. You know, that they trust me and they trust what we're trying to do. These guys are laying it on the line, you know, each and every week. I said our performances have been kind of like a roller coaster. We've not really executed each and every week the way that we hoped we would, but it's not because of a lack of effort. It's not because of a lack of trying. Like I said, I couldn't ask for any more from the guys and from the people that's behind our program, all of our support, you know, from our whole school, our administration. Everybody's behind us. We just got to go out there on Friday nights and do our part of giving them something to be proud of.
Tell you what, Coach, thank you so much for spending time with us. You guys get out there. Tomorrow kickoff 7 o'clock. Hey, they take cash.
Yep.
Like any good Christian facility, they take cash. So go support them. Concession stand is fantastic. And go bring home a victory